face and I don't care what you think. My name's blurry face and I don't care what you think.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Pat Voss, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Honesty Podcast. Of course, you know you can already find me 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, for the vlog series on YouTube and Patreon. And, of course, you can find the audio blog and the audio version of these on iTunes, Stitcher Radio app, and, of course, Podbean.com. But today, let's focus on today. It's a nice Saturday interview special with Dave Chesson. He is the owner of Kindlepreneur.com, teaching you folks how to sell more books. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
Good. And I wanted to say thank you so much for agreeing to be on for an interview. I'm really trying to progress this interview series, having people like Kate Erickson and John Lee Dumas of Entrepreneur on Fire on later next month, and yourself as well. You know, I really appreciate everything you're doing, as willing to step in and do an interview like this.
Yeah, no problem. It's always fun.
So for people that don't know you out in the Honesty Podcast universe, what is it that you do?
Well, you know, that's almost like the hardest question to ever ask anybody who's online, right? You know, sometimes I tell people, hey, I'm an author. I'm a best-selling author. Sometimes I tell people I'm a search engine optimization guy. I'm a niche website builder. You know, the thing about the internet, there's just so much one can do to either build a skill that translates into money, or to create products that bring in money consistently. I guess the best way to put it now is that I've started to become well known for, like you said, the creator of Kindlepreneur.com website, helping authors to sell more books on Amazon. But when I'm not doing that, you know, I'm writing my next book, or I'm chasing the boogeyman out of closets, or sipping tea with princesses. So that's me in a nutshell.
So you mentioned, you know, with your family, is how big is your family right now?
3 kids, 1 wife, and 2 crazy little kittens that we just picked up from the SPCA.
Oh, nice. And for me, myself, and anybody out there that knows, you know, I just got engaged last November to my now fiance, Devonna Dawson, who is also Devo from Rumor Has It, rumorhasitband.com, the Chicagoland's predominant cover band scene. And for where did you start, by the way? That's the one thing that I wanted to get into, and I'm sorry to get off topic there a little bit. Where did you start from, and how far has it taken you to come to now?
Sure. Well, you know, I was one of those guys. I went to college. I joined the military. I did all these things in the military, and everything looked like it was going great. It looked like the typical, you know, kind of successful career, I guess. But the problem was that I was being deployed all the time. I was away from my family. We were having more kids, and I was missing out on things like the first birthday, you know, Christmas morning with my family. And it just started wearing on me, and I started to realize, you know, I'm not living the dream. I'm not doing what I think is successful. I had no desire to be an admiral in the military. So what was I doing? And that's when I started to realize that I should start looking for what I call an exit strategy, you know, where I could start building something so that I don't just jump from one 9-to-5 job to another 9-to-5 job and think that life is going to be better. Instead, I started to look at how I could create my own business on the side while I was still doing my normal 9-to-5. You know, in this case, it was the military. So when that happened, I started to look at the opportunities out there, and I started to love the idea of doing online marketing, because certain types of online marketing would allow me to build my business when I had free time, and then, you know, go to work and just continue to let it grow step by step. Fast forward, I'm not gonna lie, it's not something you can just wake up the next morning and boom, instant success. Tell you the truth, it was about 4 years ago that I started the journey, and I was prepared to do my exit strategy probably just a year ago. So I would say it was 3 years of real devotion, you know. And what I mean by that was that when you look at my lifestyle, when I decided to truly focus on, you know, of gaining success, right? Working from home, being with my kids. Then I started to make better decisions about things. Like, for example, I stopped watching all the TV shows that I used to. You know, I'd get home at 5 o'clock and I would sit down and maybe play with the kids. And then I'd watch, you know, the latest Stranger Things or whatever, you know. Of course, that wasn't back then, but you know what I mean? Like, there was that new episode, new show that I wanted to watch. Well, I just cut them out. And that right there, you know, equated to an extra 2 hours a day. On top of that, too, I'd get up early in the morning. I'd get up, I'm not going to lie, at 4. in the morning. Some people can't handle that, but that was perfect because I had nothing that would get in my way. No kids waking up, no people on Facebook wanting to chat with me because they haven't seen me in a long time, none of that. So it was my time. And when you add those 5 hours a day over, 3 years, it's a beautiful thing. It didn't affect my ability to be a father or a husband. It didn't affect my day job. Like, I got things done, and now I'm where I'm at because of that.
And I appreciate you giving that outlook and letting people know, because a lot of people, like different interview guests that I've talked to, want to let you understand that it's not just an easy task. It's not an overnight thing. Even with podcasting, just regular podcasting and doing a sports show 5 days a week and then doing interviews on Saturdays, it's not easy because there's things in the background that I have to get ready. I have to have a scheduling app ready. I have to make sure that I'm in contact constantly with my guests, making sure that the vlog series is updated and exciting, because the minute that it's not, I lose viewers. And if I lose viewers, that's also a financial commitment that is going away. So I'm glad that you are so, and you look like you're so excited to do what you do. I like that. You can hear it in your voice. You can see that that hard work that is still happening is paying off every single day.
Yeah, I love the fact that I just wake up in the morning, I go downstairs. I right before we jumped on, I was upstairs trying to build a block house for my daughter, and then after this, I can go back up there and either finish it or knock it down with her brother, who's probably already knocked it down, but whatever. But I love that freedom. I didn't have to convince somebody to let me go home. I can decide tomorrow. Oh, tomorrow is going to be the weekend, but whatever. I could just decide to take off and not work. And that was my goal. And by golly, I worked as hard as I could so as to accomplish that. I really believe that it's there. I think the reason why most people fail to get there is because of either one of two things. The first thing is, like we just talked about, that they're not willing to make the sacrifices inside of their life to get it done. There are a lot of people that will not give up, relaxing and watching that movie, or can't get up early, or they're not giving up whatever that is that's extra, that they enjoy. It's kind of a bit of a sacrifice, but man, if you truly understand what your goal is, it's not much of a sacrifice in my mind. The second thing that I find a lot of people fail with is that they get into what I call shiny object syndrome. Okay. We have, the internet is a vast and huge thing, and there's so many opportunities and there's so many great things. I mean, every day I'm reading another article about how great this one thing is, wow, Pinterest is so awesome. People are making millions of dollars using Pinterest to bring traffic in. Hey, Facebook ads. Hey, make a course and you'll sell. There's just so much. There is a lot of stuff. And what happens is that the new person just continues to pivot and pivot and pivot and pivot. And when you pivot, you make no momentum. You make no gained ground. You just stand in one spot. And you are tired because you just pivoted, but you got nothing to show for it. So what I tell people is that you just need to choose the one thing. You need to choose one particular thing to focus on and then excel in that. Okay, so if you choose that you want your business to be around Pinterest, then by golly, don't start getting this shiny object syndrome and looking at Facebook ads, right? Say, no, I'm going to stick to this. And for me, I stuck to SEO, search engine optimization. It's all about ranking websites and articles #1 in Google for whatever it is you want. And I spent 2 years of nothing but that. And those 2 years, I learned as much as I could. I gained as much experience as possible. And that built up what I have today, which is intuition. And now I can apply that for anything, a new product I create, a course I create, a website I'm developing. And that is my skill. And it came from not pivoting away from that skill, but sticking with it until it, you rise above the average and you start really gaining ground over others.
And I'm glad you brought up about sticking to one thing and the shiny object syndrome. I love that. Because that hits a lot of people no matter what you're doing. So whatever you're trying to find your niche, you're trying to find what it is that you're good at. And a lot of people that I've seen that I've talked to, now I haven't done any keynote speaking yet. I'm trying to get that in the works as far as social media exposure and how to build your brand through social media. that's something that I found that I ran into a lot before I finally got down to the end result of do the obvious. Separate what you need to separate. My interview specials, yeah, sure, they can come onto YouTube or they can come onto, Facebook Live, but where is it? What is my main goal? Now, my main goal is to teach people or to excite people about the sports and entertainment industries and give that everyman view of the guy on the couch on the weekends watching the sports game or watching those movies and saying, I comment on that all the time. Where's my voice? So how does my voice get out there? Well, Pat Voss does it, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with the vlog series. But I realized also there's a financial adjustment that I need to make as far as making some kind of money on that. And that was moving my vlog series just to YouTube and then putting the interview series on patreon.com, because I figured out that if even 50 people give $1 an episode, that will help with travel expenses if I need to travel eventually with as many interviews as I do and put out a month. Travel expenses, the backgrounds, like when I told you I move into the new townhouse here in April, I will be putting a background that'll be drawdown. It'll have Honesty Podcast in the back. I'll have the hat, the shirt, everything else. I'll have my Rode Procaster mic by then, so it'll be all good. It'll be a nice setup where it looks more professional, and that's the one thing I want to strive for, whether it's the voice or whether it's the content and the people that I have on. It's all about professionalism, and I want people to see that, and it is hard work to get to that point, but it is attainable, and I like that you pointed that out.
Yeah, it really is. And the key is just understanding what that one thing is. Okay. Another thing I like to tell people too is that I think setting goals, especially annual goals, is the biggest lie / letdown, but it's also important. So what I mean by that is that the truth, especially with a business, we have no idea how well our business is going to go, or how great our attempt at something is going to be accomplished. But here's how I use my goals. I don't use my goals as to be something that I'm trying to reach. I mean, it's great if I do, that's cool. But what I do is I use my goals as a way to figure out whether or not I should be working on something. Okay. So, we've got the screen here. I'm going to go ahead and show you my goals. I put them on this little board right here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. And anytime I'm working with my team, anytime I'm thinking about a new idea, I immediately stop. I look over at my 4 goals and I say to myself, is that business idea or is that attempt or piece of work, is that going to help me with any of those 4? And if the answer is no, then I just don't do it. Okay, I just don't. And because I sat and I thought about those goals for, I think, the whole month of December. And I tested them out, and then finally I said, that's it. And that is the scope in which I use to whether or not I'm going to do something. If I don't reach that goal, well, I'm not going to be mad at myself. I spent so many years getting mad that I didn't get to this point. But you know what? It has helped me to figure out what the one thing is, funnel down, and focus and move forward. And I really enjoy that, using that as kind of my set of scope in whether or not I should do something or not.
Well, and I like that because that does come back around to your pivoting and the shiny object syndrome is where, you don't want to be going from one to the next to the next because, yes, there is way too much to get involved in. And if you're worried about Facebook ads and you're worried about your campaign and you're worried about Patreon and YouTube, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, I've put out 3 videos. I don't have any views or hardly any views. And now I'm discouraged, but you've got yourself going in 15 different ways.
Yep.
So another thing I wanted to bring up for you is the question that I always ask everybody, but it seems like you're pretty set in your ways there because you found your niche. You know exactly what you want to do, and you're great at it. My question I ask a lot of people, which I get some flack for and some not, is if you could be doing anything other than what you're currently doing, what would it be?
If I could be doing anything other than what I'm currently doing. I don't really think I have anything that I'd prefer to be doing. I know that sounds terrible, but remember, when we started talking at the beginning, it was all about defining what success was for me, right? And for me, it would be to be home doing something I enjoy, and having the opportunity to go upstairs and build a blockhouse, with my daughter if I feel like it. That's awesome. So, I think the most important part to that question is understanding what success is for you. Okay?
Right.
What I just did doesn't mean that is what you would consider successful. And I'm not thinking that anybody out there should say that is exactly it. If it is, cool. If not, hey. But you need to know what that is. You need to define it. And if you don't know what it is, then how can you make the right decisions moving forward? How can you decide to stop watching that show that you really enjoy when you don't even know what you're working for? So start with defining what success is so that you fully know what exactly is the light at the end of the tunnel.
And I like that you helped make my point for me, is that, a gentleman like yourself who knows what they want to do and they have that laser focus on it. That's what I want people that watch this show and watch the podcast and watch these interviews to get, is you need to be laser focused eventually on whatever it is that you want to get accomplished. And like you said on the whiteboard over there, you have 4 goals. And if something that is brought up does not align with those 4 goals or having you reach them, then scrap it, because it's extra. It's just getting in the way. And I think a lot of people that I deal with, especially in the sports community, a lot of stuff gets in the way. They think about interviews, or they think about, blogs they want to write, but they don't focus on, okay, where do you personally want to be in 3 years? Or scratch that. Where do you personally want to be in 12 months from now? And if you don't have an answer, then sit down like you did, rack your brain and really figure out a solid answer, because without a solid answer, you go nowhere.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate it. And of course, people know here at the Honesty Podcast, they can reach me at Honesty Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Pat Voss 12 on Snapchat, of course, patreon.com/Honesty Podcast, as well as the iTunes, Stitcher Radio app, and Podbean apps for the audio blog series. But where can they reach you?
They can reach me at kindlepreneur.com. I've got a contact page. Just go ahead and hit me up with any questions you got. I still answer all those emails.
I appreciate it, Dave. Thank you so much for stopping by today for the interview series. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope to be working with you hopefully soon on another project here down the road. And maybe if you have a show or something you'd like to do, I'd more than willing to appear as well.
Sounds great. Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been Dave Chesson. I'm Pat Voss. Thank you for listening to and watching another great interview series episode. We'll be back next Saturday with another great episode for you folks. Stay tuned. This has been the Honesty Podcast.
Party like Chris Farley.